When I was growing up, when I was just a wee little lad, still learning my way around the world, I mean, we're all still doing that, but it'd be late at night and I'd be watching some Adventure Time, some regular show, and then I'd get an ad for Konami, I believe it was, and it would be showing like Assassination's Classroom, Dragon Ball, and I always thought anime was weird and it was something that I would never ever watch. Fast forward about 16 years, I'm 19 now, so maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I really started getting into anime in that space. And at that time, I was watching a lot more than I am now. But I still know a decent amount. I've seen like everything that's popular at this point. But the one question that I get from all my friends and anything like that that don't watch or haven't seen anything is which ones should I start with? And that's why I wanted to make a video because I realized that I don't know everyone. Not everyone can give recommendations, and a lot of times they end up watching a YouTube video. So why not? I'm going to be giving my top 5 animes for people that are either just getting into that space or haven't seen anything and would like to, maybe they'd be interested in one of these. Now, before we get into so I have some criteria that I went on for when I was picking. I think it's important for a lot of especially with newer people. I think it is really important the animation. I think that's the one thing that draws people towards anime a lot is the animation. So I tried to go pick stuff that I knew had really good animation and focus maybe a little less on the storytelling aspect. I do want to give one honorable mention, and that is going to be to Freerun Beyond Journey's End. I recently watched this show and I love it. I just think that it's not something that someone who's never seen anime before would really like. I think when you're first getting into the scene, it's a lot of high-paced action fighting, which this show has that, but it's a little bit different in a sense. But that's going to be my honorable mention. If I don't really want to get into too much because it's not one of the ones that I want to talk about here, but if you've seen all the other ones, definitely watch Freerun Beyond Journey's End. Number 5 on this list is going to be going to none other than Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I know this is a very recent with the second season, I think it was, whatever the newest season one, kind of recently coming out, and that really blew up the popularity of the show on TikTok and all that stuff, seeing all the clips of Gojo and whatever. But this show really blew up with its, like, almost right away, and the second season catapulted it further because it is a good show. There's a lot of action. The animation is beautiful. They have very likable characters with a lot of cool abilities. I mean, so it follows a young boy who, in like a world full of spirits and whatnot, he tries to save his friends. He ends up eating a finger that belonged to the Demon King. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll use you as a vessel to eat all of the fingers of the former Demon King Sukuna, and then we'll be able to get rid of him once and for all. And so it follows that journey, but then it also takes some different paths. Very good fighting scenes. I think that's one of the things that this show is like known for. But it does have a good story still, don't get me wrong, but I think Jujutsu Kaisen fits it perfectly for someone who is just trying to get into anime. Now, I debated between switching my number 4 and my number 5 right now, so put a little asterisk by this. It's going to be interchangeable between the last two, but number 4 I have Chainsaw Man, which also fits in that same thing as Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's a lot of action, it's a lot of really good animation, and it's got some pretty cool like abilities, which I think is very important to people that are just getting into that space, is having characters that are really cool and that you can really kind of root for. And Deji, the main character, is a very rootable for character. He comes from nothing, and then gets meshed with this chainsaw. It's been a while since I've seen the first season, but they're like demons or whatever. But he gets meshed with them, allowing him to turn into Chainsaw Man. And there's also like people who can turn into guns, people who can like control blood and like that stuff. So they have a lot of very cool characters. I will warn you, there is like an over sexualization of women in the show, which you find a lot coming into anime. And I think that's also a kind of a turn off to people that are new to watching, is that stuff is kind of weird if we're going to be real, but it is kind of a turn off. But outside of that, the show is very good. A lot of action. And I tried to choose when going through this, I tried to choose shows that were shorter because obviously I could get up here and be like, One Piece is the one that you should watch, or Bleach. But those are like 1,000 episodes. No new. If your first anime you watch is over 1,000 episodes, it's going to kill the whole mood of watching anime for you. You want to, when you, in my professional opinion, when you first start watching, you want to watch things that are quick, that have things that are high paced, things that have great animation. You don't. One Piece is very good, and eventually, when I finish the series, I'm only about halfway through right now, but when I finish the series, I want to make a whole going over all of One Piece video. But I think overall, you want something short and fast paced and good animation. Chainsaw Man fits perfectly into that category, and that's why it is number 4. Now, number 3. This might be one that a lot of people wouldn't be expecting when talking about new animes or new things that people should watch. And I'm going to say Mob Psycho. My personal favorite anime of all time, Mob Psycho. I could talk about this show all day. It follows Mob, or Shige, who is a young psychic who has all this power connected to his emotions, but he doesn't, like, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't have that strong, but like the stronger his emotions are, the stronger his power gets. So he's very like monotone, doesn't have like a whole lot of friends. But then as the show goes on, he starts finding himself. And the thing that I like about Mob Psycho, he already starts with all of this power. You don't like the typical anime, like for My Hero Academia, for example. They start weak and then they get stronger. Mob starts like psychic wise, he is already like top tier. He is the best psychic in the world. But the issue is his like humanity and his emotions and all that stuff. That's really the main issue. And it gets counteracted perfectly with his mentor. I don't want to get into spoilers too much, but with his mentor who then teaches him that specific, outside of like the psychic stuff, his like emotions and like his social life and stuff like that. So it follows a lot more of the social aspect of being like a psychic or a superhuman man or whatever. But overall, Mob Psycho is a beautifully animated show. It's got some beautiful scenes. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. I will give a lot of credit to the creators of Mob Psycho. There is some jokes in here that are genuinely kind of funny. That's a really big thing with the animes is when they try and be funny, it usually flops. But Mob Psycho has a few actually funny moments in the animation. They're not afraid to switch up animation style on you. There's certain like the one-shot scenes of like different stuff. I'll throw one on. But this show is beautiful, and if I made a video talking about my top 5 favorite animes, this one would be number 1. Number 2. Number 2 is probably the most classic anime. I think people that I don't even think you could not know. I think people that don't even know what anime was would still know what this show is, and that's Death Note. Everyone knows Death Note. Everyone loves Death Note, and I myself love Death Note. It's probably in my top 5 favorite animes personally, but the battle between L and Light is historic, and the way they just so. Let me give a little synopsis of, in case you don't know what Death Note is. Ryuk, who's a Shinigami, god of death, drops his Death Note onto the earth. Light is just like a high school student, picks it up, and he decides he wants to be God and decide justice. And so he starts killing criminals, which is still murder. And L, the greatest detective of all time, he's never not solved a case. He takes on the case of finding Kira, which is the nickname given to the person killing all these criminals, giving them justice. And he decides he won't stop until that man is caught. I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything like that, but it's a great show. They're both these two super high level, high thinking men battle back and forth to try and catch each other. And it's one of the most entertaining. It's short. I think it fits everything. There are no like literal like fist to fist fight scenes, but it's a lot of mental fighting. And the animation is not the best, but it is so entertaining that I think it deserves to be in this number 2 spot. Now my number 1. Ring the bells. It's time to say number 1. My number 1 show to recommend to new watchers, and I've recommended this show to so many people, is One Punch Man. This is a show. I have friends who claim they would never watch anime before, and I was like, you should just try One Punch Man. Or they'd be like, I've never watched an anime before. What should I watch? I say, try One Punch Man. That'll let you know if you want to get into anime or not. And some people will only watch One Punch Man and be like, that was good. I don't want to watch anything else, which is fine. I have a lot of friends who do that. But it's a very satirical show that plays off of anime a lot of the times, where everyone's always trying to power up in this stuff. But it starts with the story of Saitama, who is already the strongest man ever. There's no one stronger than him. And I'm going to spoil this for everyone here, but if you, like the title says, he beats everyone in one punch. Whoa, what a surprise. But he'll get into these fights where the opponent is like building up all this power and Saitama is doing nothing essentially, and then just ends up beating him in one punch every single time. And you'd think that'd be a very boring show to watch, but it is so entertaining. And there's actually like a decent story that follows with it, and the animation is beautiful, and you're always watching with that next villain. You're like, maybe this is finally the guy who will beat Saitama. And I'm not gonna throw any spoilers, but you know, hopefully one day Saitama will meet his match. And if you're new to anime, or if you've been watching for a while, I want you to leave some recommendations of shows that you think people should watch outside of the ones that I've mentioned here. Ones that you think people should watch, or ones that you're thinking about watching in the future. And if you're a seasoned veteran and you're just looking to see what my opinions are, what do you think about this top 5? What would you add? What would you replace? What would you switch out? But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. That'd help a lot as we're on our way. We are 1 subscriber away from 30 subscribers. So if you're watching and you just don't know, if you should throw one out, just do it. Just do it. I mean, it's free. I'm just playing. All right, that's my top 5. And I will probably be back tomorrow, next day, whatever. But if you want to see more anime-related content, or just you want to see anything, just comment it down below, and I will see them all and decide if there's any that are worth doing. But that's all for now, so peace.